White Chicks was a 2004 comedy created by the Wayans brothers. The early 2000s were an interesting time for film. Political correctness was not yet a social phenomenon, and boy does it show! But in this dank cave of raunchy boner comedies emerged the diamond in the rough. So, this gem of a movie surrounds Kevin and Marcus. They are brothers who are also somehow partners in the FBI, because that's not a conflict of interest, I guess. They're disgraced by the FBI for arresting the wrong guy in a classic case of mistaken identity in what was supposed to be the biggest drug bust of their careers. Now, this might sound like your run of the mill disgraced cop storyline, but they take it to the next level. Kevin and Marcus are disguised as Speedy Gonzales tier Latino stereotypes running a convenience store. Now, this might come off as lowbrow attempts of racist early 2000s humor, but in reality, it is so much more. They're distracting the perpetrator, throwing him off guard. They're so deep undercover, they're true method actors, but they're sloppy. They're loose cannons. This is such clear foreshadowing of the disgrace to soon be faced. Also, it sets up their background with prosthetics. It's explained afterwards that this was a renegade mission unapproved by the chief with no backup. So they're disgraced, and the chief is like, oh, I should send you to Iraq. And it's 2004, so that was a topical thing. Also, there's a continuous plot line about Marcus's wife thinking he's cheating on her and how she's just generally unheard in the relationship. But this is 2004, so wife bad is still hilarious. Look at her expressing her feelings. What an idiot. So now we get to the technical main plot of the story. But anyway, so Brittany and Tiffany Wilson are two heiresses to a large fortune, and they're possible kidnapping victims, so the FBI has to chaperone them on their big weekend at the Hamptons. And none of the other FBI agents want this gig because, like, the girls are Karens or whatever. And so Kevin and Marcus get put on the job to get back in good graces with the chief. It's also established that Marcus is lactose intolerant. I hope he doesn't have milk later. Now that the girls got horrendous disfigurements on their face, they can't go to the Hamptons. What are the FBI agents to do? They're going to get in so much trouble with the chief again. They're going to have to go to Iraq. It is here we get the scene that was quoted by every single person in 2004.
I am so freaking pissed.
So the next logical step would be for Kevin and Marcus to disguise themselves as these white chicks and live their days as them for this weekend in the Hamptons. But through high beauty standards, gender expectations, and gay panic, they will realize that being a woman is harder than it looks. So Kevin and Marcus are disguised as Brittany and Tiffany, and they say the same thing that the other girls said before.
I'm so freaking pissed.
They meet up with the real sisters' friends, Karen, Lisa, and Tori. They all go to a socialite gathering where we are introduced to the antagonist hotties, Megan and Heather Vandergild. They exchange mean-spirited banter, but then Megan makes the fatal flaw of saying a yo mama joke, and we see the most epic showdown that even Avengers Endgame envies.
Oh my god, you want to talk about lovers? Oh.
And while Kevin/Brittany flirts with Denise, a news reporter, Marcus/Tiffany eats quiche. But what's the primary ingredient in quiche? It's so funny because only men poop. We are now introduced to the best character in the movie, Latrell Spencer, a sexually domineering athlete with his eyes on Tiffany. After aggressively pursuing her and not taking no for an answer, Marcus pepper sprays Latrell in an act of feminist defiance. Things are established. 1, 1,000 Miles is a song for girls only. And 2, You can say the N-word in a PG-13 movie. During a so totally awesome shopping spree, our secret guys learn that finding clothes is no easy task. I too have cried over how terrible I look in department store mirrors. You think that they would get mirrors to make you look deceivingly better so you return and buy more of their product? But I digress. There's a quick scene where Kevin, disguised as Brittany, chases a mugger who stole his purse, which held his gun and badge. This isn't pivotal to the story, but it's an unironically fun scene, and Trouble by Pink plays, and that song has a great music video. Go look it up. Jeremy Renner's in it, and I'm quite attracted to him. So in the next scene, they auction off dates with women. God, 2004 was a weird year. Denise the reporter tells Kevin that it would be nice to go on a date with a rich guy, and he takes mental notes. Isn't it kind of problematic to have a woman of color talk about how she wants to be auctioned off to a rich man? Or maybe that's the point. Maybe this movie is actually a masterful critique on sexism and racism. So anyways, Tiffany is up for auction, and Latrell non-consensually purchases her for $50,000? So, the girls that are men have a slumber party with the girls that are their friends, but not their friends, but the other girls' friends. And, wow, I lost my train of thought. But more importantly, Karen discusses her boy problems, and Marcus realizes that he's been a bad husband because he didn't notice his wife's haircut or whatever. There's some brief cultural appropriation, and then two kidnappers try to kidnap Kevin and Marcus, but they're not really kidnappers. They're hired strippers who are hired to kidnap unsuspecting women. But, they're secretly FBI agents, so Kevin just demolishes them in hand-to-hand combat. And then he says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm PMSing, right? Women are crazy when they're on their periods. Right, fellas? Oh, also, there's a scene involving an adult toy, but for some reason that was redacted from the version I watched. So that's lame. So everyone goes to the same beach on the same day, and Kevin steals Latrell's clothes and pretends to be him to ask out Denise because she said she liked rich guys. Remember? They do the thing where he says he'll pick her up at 8, but they don't exchange phone numbers or addresses or any informational necessities.
Hey, yo! You do that again, I'm a bust! Bust out in tears!
Oh my God.
I like that part. Latrell continues to sexually harass Tiffany with pretty racially charged pickup lines. The big date is nigh. While Kevin goes on his date with Denise, still disguised as Latrell. In fact, in the same outfit he got from the beach, so I guess Latrell just never noticed his clothes were stolen, and I guess he drove home in his, Speedo. And Marcus/Tiffany goes on his purchased date with Latrell. He keeps trying to sabotage the date so Latrell doesn't like him, but he just comes off as not like other girls, and Latrell is enamored. This clearly sheds light on the pressure we put on women to act super feminine and dainty and meek, when in reality, being yourself is what makes people like you. It's also interesting because Latrell shows very emotionally vulnerable, possibly even feminine features, such as listening to 1,000 Miles.
And I need you. And I miss you.
And crying, and, displaying guys don't emotion on a man. I'll be a monkey's uncle. This truly is a critique and subversion of gender roles. So then everybody decides to go to the same club on the same night, and Latrell confesses that Tiffany is a hard lay. And this guy tells him, oh, no problem, just slip this in her drink and she'll sleep with you no problem. I don't know if it's roofies or ecstasy or what, but it's 100% immoral and weirdly played for laughs. But Marcus notices the fizzing drugs and he switches the drinks. So Latrell downs the drink and he gets drugged on his own. What an asshole, driving on my street like he owns the place. So Latrell gets maybe roofied, I don't know, but he's dancing it up on the dance floor and it's hilarious. The Mean Sisters and their posse have a dance battle with our girls and their posse. Oh my gosh, why did every movie in this era have a flash mob or a dance battle? What a time to be alive. And you think the Mean Girls won, but then Kevin and Marcus are like, poof, we're gonna show you up. And they shred the dance floor, break dancing to Run DMC. And then later, Karen admits that Vandergilt is broke, and this is important to the plot, but do you care about the plot? The guy who gave Latrell the drugs attempts to perform an act of bestiality on a dog, and then he and Latrell wake up in bed together the next morning. And as we may or may not know, two men spending the night together is very gay. The other FBI agents discover that Brittany and Tiffany are men in disguise, but they don't know who they really are. The real sisters see Kevin and Marcus in the newspaper, and they go to confront their clones. The FBI agents turn in the real sisters, thinking they're the imposters. Things get, Me Too-y, but Kevin and Marcus are fired, and they decide to go rogue once more to catch the bad guy. Who, remember, is the kidnapper. Alleged, I don't know. I've seen this movie probably around 50 times in my life, and I always turn it off at this point because I really don't care about the ending, because it's tying up the plot, and no one cares about the plot. But there's a fashion show, and no one cares! But basically, Vandergilt was the kidnapper, and they catch him, and then they get their jobs back. And Marcus's wife is like, oh, you're not cheating on me. And then the reporter's like, oh, I'll still date you even though you lied about who you are because, like, you were going to take a bullet for me. So everyone gets the girl. They've been teasing a sequel for, like, 10 years. And I really don't think it's going to happen. And if it does, I will literally only accept Black Dudes, the story of two female white FBI agents disguising themselves as black men. And that's it. That's the movie. That's White Chicks. Man, it still holds up. I still love this movie. Okay, sue me. Bye.